and welcome. I'm Charlie Washburn. I'm Executive Director of VSA Massachusetts, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here tonight, to greet you all, and particularly to welcome our colleagues from around the country and really around the world who have traveled all the way to Boston to attend the Kennedy Center's LEAD conference, Leadership Exchange in Art and Disability. So welcome to you all. And if you will indulge me, I'd like to ask for a quick show of hands. First, how many of us are here for the LEAD conference? Ooh, good show of hands. That's probably our biggest number. And how many are with a VSA affiliate? From greetings to all my VSA friends. And how many heard about this event via our Facebook or blog or our email blasts or Twitter? Oh, how wonderful, Joe, to see that. Joe, so that's just great. Thank you very much. VSA is a program of the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. We were founded in 1974, I believe it was, by President Kennedy's sister, Jean. We were founded for the purpose of celebrating the president's commitment to the arts and his interest in securing the civil rights of people with disabilities. So that's really the intersection of those two ideas, participating in the arts and guaranteeing the rights of people with disabilities. That's where VSA comes from. We are organized around the globe. We are in most of the 50 states and about 50 other countries. We serve the mission of promoting involvement of people of all abilities in the cultural life of their communities, of our communities. We do this work with the help of a lot of friends, and many of us here are local, so I'm going to do a shameless plug. On the way out, you'll see these postcards. We're inviting people who find this mission interesting and worthwhile to join us for what we're calling an all-access pass. It's a 1-hour event where we go through the whole reason for our being in business and the way we go about our work, and then we follow up and begin a conversation about how to advance this work together. So all access pass, we do them twice a month, all year, and we will do them indefinitely. So if anything we're doing seems interesting, or if we come up short and you want to tell us about it, or if you have a great idea, grab one of those cards or come via one of our social media sites and be sure to join us. As I say, we do this work with the benefit of a lot of friends, including Jeremy Alliger, who's with us, helped produce tonight, Jeremy of Alliger Arts, and especially Maria Cabrera, I think she's in the house, and her very able staff here at the Museum of Science. There's also, tonight's concert in particular is brought to us with the good offices of two organizations whose directors are with us tonight, and they would like to add to our greeting. So first, I'd like to introduce Jean Whitney of the Carl and Ruth Shapiro Family Foundation.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, I'd like to welcome you all here too, and we're really pleased to be supporting this performance tonight. We want to thank all of you for your participation and the work that you do every day. We share your commitment to working towards a society where universal design is the standard and the participation of people of all abilities is valued and celebrated. So again, we're very pleased to be here with you as a partial sponsor of this concert, and welcome and enjoy the show.
Thank you, Jean. And also with us tonight is Anita Walker, who's Executive Director of the Massachusetts Cultural Council.
Good evening, everybody. Well, before I give my opening welcoming remarks, I want to do my very, very best to embarrass the person standing right there. Is that all right? Yes. Yeah. Because there aren't too many people who are over the age of, say, 30 who can celebrate 25 years as head of our VSA in Massachusetts. Congratulations, Charlie. And I have to tell you that Charlie Washburn is definitely the reason that the Massachusetts Cultural Council has such a dynamic, full partnership with VSA. And by the way, I also want to point to one person who just hit my eye, Lisa Wong, who is on the council, the Mass Cultural Council, a great leader in Massachusetts and a great volunteer. We are delighted to be one of the hosts and sponsors of this event tonight, and I have to tell you that the partnership with VSA is only going to get bigger and only get stronger in the years to come. How many of you are from Massachusetts in the audience? Well, we want to give you one more reason to be extremely proud in Massachusetts. Our council, as Lisa knows, recently just completed a strategic planning process, and we have put front and center as one of our goals moving forward to make Massachusetts a leader in the nation in inclusive and universal design. We want to make sure that every single cultural organization in the Commonwealth is open and accessible to everybody. You know, the arts are the place where it really does start, because the arts speaks to everyone. It knows no particular language, and we hear it in every single way that we possibly can. The concert that you're going to be experiencing tonight is a perfect example of how everyone here will receive this gift in a different way, and the arts is the only thing that can really reach everybody in a very, very special way. We think everybody who comes to Massachusetts and engages with one of our amazing world-class cultural organizations deserves to have that opportunity to be enriched, to be inspired, to be moved, to be educated. And in partnership with VSA and Charlie Washburn, we are going to be working very, very closely to make sure that that happens moving forward. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you, Charlie, for all of your wonderful work.
Thank you, Anita. Now about the show. What we're about to see is a concert produced in a style we call inclusive by design. And the basic idea comes from a need to demonstrate what a performance looks like when the universal design principles are applied from the very beginning. And the National Endowment for the Arts helped us present the first of these concerts back in 1998. And we've since then produced, that was a jazz concert. We've since produced some blues and some rock and roll. We've also done some gospel, this with our affiliations with other VSA affiliates in Texas, New Hampshire, Idaho, and New Mexico. And not the least of which is through the good graces of Celia, who's doing double duty tonight. She's the director of VSA in Texas. So tonight is actually our first venture into classical music. It's also our first attempt to create to employ the sense of smell. And we know that the LEAD conference is a fragrance-free conference, so I just want to mention that now, so that if, in fact, you think an organic essence, herbal essence, would be a problem, you might want to take your leave before the encore in tonight's performance. Now, our creative team tonight starts with Celia Hughes, and I'm going to come back and introduce the rest after we give Celia a chance to provide live audio description. This is an uncommon application of audio description in that typically it's whispered into the ear of a person with low vision through an assistive listening device of some sort. We've found it very much effective to share it with everyone. So that's what we're going to do tonight, and Celia Hughes is going to get us started.
Okay, thank you. Just want to assuage the fears of the people who are used to traditional audio description. When we deliver and talk throughout the performance, I will not be talking throughout Adrian's wonderful violin playing. We do it at various pauses in the actual performance. So we are in a 250-seat theater without a raised stage. In the auditorium, the three walls are paneled with narrow wooden slats from floor to ceiling. The sound booth is located at the upper left of these seats. On the stage, a yellow velour main curtain flanks the left and right of the playing area. A black velvet curtain is drawn across the stage behind the artists. On the stage in front of the black curtain, seated at the far left, behind a small table, is the captioner. Next to her, on her right, sits the ASL interpreter. Behind the interpreter and slightly to her right is the captioning bar. It is 5 feet long and sits atop a 6-foot pole. Slightly left of center is a black Steinway baby grand piano with its lid opening to the audience. Adrian, the violinist, will stand in front of this piano, parallel with the keyboard. In front of him, a music stand has a sprig of rosemary attached. To the right of the piano, an 11-foot-long easel covered with black fabric. A large, clear plastic drop cloth covers the floor in front of this easel. The audio describer sits to the right of this drop cloth. On this cloth are the artist's tools. A flat wooden box with 3 compartments sits on 4 wheels. This box is filled with different paints of many colors, as well as pastels and crayons. Also on the floor are 2 long-handled squeegees, 2 long wooden sticks covered in paint, tiny brushes taped to long dowels, also covered in paint, 2 wooden spacklers, generally used for plastering, covered with paint, a bucket of water, and several large wads of paper towel sit behind this cart. Nancy, the artist, is dressed in black. A Chinese tunic jacket, black pants, black Japanese slippers, and a black woven cap. 2 long black braids hang down her back. She is covered with splashes and globs of paint from her toes to her cap. Adrian is dressed in a white dress shirt with rolled-up cuffs, a thin black tie, and gray dress pants. His crew-cut hair frames his face. Adrian's right arm ends before his wrist. His violin bow is attached to his lower arm by a molded plastic cuff fastened by 2 Velcro straps. Vincent, the pianist, sits on a padded leather piano bench. He wears a black suit jacket and pants and a bright red and green tie. He has straight black hair and wears wire-rimmed glasses. Charlie Washburn wears a gray suit with a sprig of rosemary in his jacket pocket. He has closely trimmed white mustache and beard.
Thank you, Celia. Celia will be joined tonight on our stage by Cheryl Giberson. Who's already hard at work providing American Sign Language interpreting. Our open captioning is being provided by Megan McKenzie of C2 Captioning. The performance ensemble includes Nancy Ostrovsky, who's painting, Vincent Chung, who's playing piano, and Adrian Anatawan on violin. So without further ado, please welcome our ensemble.
Don't want to bump into that. Thank you very much. Lovely. I'd like to thank you all for being part of our lovely experiment that we are about to embark on today. And thank you for having us here. It's an honor to play. So I just wanted to talk a couple minutes about the two pieces that we're playing. We chose Beethoven and Ravel in particular because they both had some form of a disability. Beethoven, of course, going deaf. Towards the middle of his life, he was actually around my age, in his late 20s at that point. And Ravel, who had a neurological disorder, may not have necessarily been diagnosed at that time, but he actually did work with a neurologist when he was afflicted with aphasia, and died because of an operation trying to help him out. But we're trying to see the connection of disability and music through the lens of universal design, of using music as a different mode or multiple modes of expression, representation, and expression. So these two pieces, I think, reveal a lot about their personalities, not only as musicians, but ultimately their identity and struggle, and also triumph with their disabilities as well. So thank you.
Adrian has a white handkerchief hanging from his left pocket, which he tucks under his chin where it rests on the violin while he plays. At Vincent's right, a woman is seated, and she stands to assist with turning his music throughout the performance. Nancy, using a handful of paints, begins to apply orange paint to the right side of the canvas, and the figure of a violin begins to appear. Echoes of this shape spread to the left. She next uses another handful of yellow and white paint to rub an oval to the upper left of this orange violin shape. Magenta and teal strings, cross the center of this violin shape from the lower left to the upper right. Settled along the top of these strings are musical notations, also in teal and magenta, with wide bars of yellow across. Her feet tap and dance. She touches the canvas from time to time with her feet as she reaches to the top and then drops to her knees. The echo of a violin in the center of the painting is also crossed with long strings of teal and magenta. A handprint of oranges and yellows grasps the arm of the violin. Drops of bright blue paint run down from the two echo violins at the center and left of the canvas. Nancy turns to watch Adrian as he plays, his furrowed eyebrows as he looks at the music. Nancy swings her body as she applies reds and pinks to the palms and fingers of her hands, and then lightly taps the canvas at points across the three violins. Her paint-covered fingers apply splats and dots of color as an oval now appears above the third violin on the left. A long turquoise line runs from the lower left diagonal across the violin to the upper edge of the canvas. Nancy, now with green hands and fingers, stands with her back to the canvas and swings from side to side, applying paint in small dots as she moves. Using the tubes of paint, she now splats color, adding lines to the frets, to the tuning pegs in yellow, orange, and green. Watching Adrian, Nancy applies black globs of paint in random places. A pink image of a hand holds the left violin. 3 violins now line the canvas. All right. Nancy sits on her feet as Adrian and Vincent prepare to play. Adrian has placed the handkerchief back in his pocket. He bends and sways as he brings his violin to life. More globs of glistening black paint are applied to the violin with accents of yellow outlining the edge. On the yellow oval above the violin on the right, some black lines squiggle and cross. A head appears. Circular attached white lines are framed below this head, coming together to form a shirt and an arm holding a long, thin white bow. Small white lines on top of blue create an arm holding a bow at the violin on the left. Nancy watches Adrian play, drops to her knees several times as she applies red from a tube. The drop cloth has turned orange and black and magenta as she steps along the front of the canvas. Turning slowly from left to right, she dots the middle violin with reds, blues, yellows. 2 and 3 inch gashes of yellow paint spray from the arm of the violin on the right. 2 white-shirted figures now tuck a violin under their chin, one on the right and one on the left. Colors are applied to the musical notations using the end of a dowel. Small paintbrushes also apply dots of red. From the 3 violins, paint streams down, some thick, some thin, some lines interrupted, some lines flowing. Inching slowly along the front of the canvas, Nancy's feet stick to the drop cloth. She studies the painting, shaking the painted tube, adding brilliant red to the lines, the strokes of Adrian's bow. To all 3 violins, the violin and player on the left is all surrounded by dots and dashes of color. Nancy signs her painting.
So this is the fun part for me. I get to play an encore. And in your programs, I believe you have a piece of rosemary. It's lovely to take that back home with you, cook it with a few potatoes. But before that, we are going to play a Viennese waltz, Schön Rosmarin, and it's about a girl whose name is Rosemary. So enjoy.
have it. The wonderful application of, well, not only universal design, but clearly a lot of creative energy. And so my special thanks to all the talent tonight. I see people signing and waving around. There's another embarrassment, I think, about to happen.
Good evening. I would like to take the opportunity to embarrass Charlie a little bit further. I think that just like Adrian and Vincent deserve a standing ovation, this man standing next to me does too. I have had the privilege of working with VSA Massachusetts for almost 8 years, but that is really nothing compared to the dedication and the time that Charlie has provided to this wonderful organization. He's so much more than just our executive director. He's a visionary leader. He's an inspiring mentor, a fervent advocate for people with disabilities and for inclusion and the arts, and a wonderful friend. And I consider myself very lucky, and I think many of you who are in the room here are also very lucky of having had the opportunity of working with Charlie for the past 25 years. And many of you also had the opportunity of signing Charlie's card. We made this for you with some wishes from your friends and colleagues who have worked with you over the past 25 years. And I hope that reading those wishes will remind you of all that you have accomplished over this last 25 years and inspire you to see what else is to come, which we are all sure a lot more is coming. And the cover has a hydrangea bush, and that is because a real one will be joining your garden in Rhode Island. And we hope that seeing the bush grow will inspire new growth in your career. And we're very proud of being part of your team. And thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you all very much. I really can't accept this without giving a shout out. A woman who really inspired much of this work and really gave me the to-do list that I'm still working on. Maida Abrams, whose idea was behind many of these wonderful things that are still coming to fruition. So a shout out to Maida, and thank you all very much for being here, and let's do the next 25 years. Thank you. The creative team will be milling around, so for a little while, the folks who are with the LEAD conference are in note that there's a reception waiting. I'm late by a half hour getting you out of here, so my apologies to Betty Siegel and company. But we'll be around if you want to get a closer look at the mural, and you're welcome to come on up. So thank you again very much.